we're on. Millennium Blades and a cat. So Toby's here. We thought we'd give him his, few seconds of fame. There's a lot of white on this table. As you notice, there's many player boards in this game. And then there's 2 market boards. There's a store, which is dangerously close to the cat.
There's a lot of orange fur on the table. I don't know about white.
He's lying on the white. But yeah, this is a mess because it's a big game. You need a lot of table space if you're going to play like 4 or 5 players plus the market. Unless you have like TV trays where you can put your player boards or whatever. Although we're only using 3/4 of this table. So if you guys notice, only part of Ian's board shows. Because most of his board shows, so you'll be able to see most of what he's doing, but some of it won't show, unfortunately, because my camera can't go back that far. I need to. One day, I'll figure out a better camera that would work for this, that isn't blurry when you film. I can zoom back further.
I'll just have to behave like I'm in an animated series about a children's card game and narrate all of my moves really loudly.
That would be funny as hell. Although we're gonna have to do that anyway because, like, really, nobody's gonna be able to read this. Like, it's a picture of a square. Good. Oh, it is a picture of a square. There's some sleeve cards. But yeah, the neat thing about this game is, like, each of the cards is supposed to look like a booster pack. So I don't know if you can see this. Oh, here we go. They've got like the little ridges on there. Bye, Toby. So like when you basically get a new card and you open a pack, you flip the card over. So yes, it's a pack, but it's only 1 card. So when we play the game and we do like the deck building phases, all of the store cards are going to be face down because they're unopened booster packs. Yep. So I think that's kind of fun. And then stuff in the aftermarket is going to be face up because it's stuff that people are selling, so they're going to want you to be able to see what it is. So we've got. Each of us has a starter deck, a character card, friendship cards, which I'll explain what those are in a bit, sale tokens.
Oh, I get what you meant.
Yeah, yours is right now on the tournament side. Yep, that's the side you want.
I'm like, what do you mean by it? The wrong side?
Yep, each board has 2 sides, the deck building side and the tournament side. So the deck building side is obviously the first thing we do. There's 3 rounds of it. There's a couple things the game suggests to do if you've never played before. Cat here, right there. And one of those things is they suggest you pre-pick the decks, and I thought it'd be more fun to be random. We've never played this game before, so maybe that's a mistake, but we have played other collectible games. We've played other deck builders, so I wanted to make sure it wasn't too boring for you guys. And it was just a lot easier just to pull them random anyway. And the other thing it suggests to do is to do like a pre-tournament and skip one of the deck building phases, but I don't think we need to do that. I think we can do just a straight 3 deck building phases and tournaments. That might be a mistake, and viewers will tell us if it is when we get to that point if we mess up. None of us have played this before. This is the first time, so we'll probably mess up. I'm just putting that out there now. Disclosure, full disclosure, there will be errors, probably. And then these little counters are for the tournament side for when you want to keep track of your points. So we'll talk about who we are and stuff after I explain the rules and what our powers are and all that. The other thing they suggest is not to use the powers in the first game, but what's the fun of that? Let's just go whole hog and pretend like we played before. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if we're going to play more than 1 game tonight, just to let folks watching know, just because it's really hot in here, and if we put the fan on, none of you will be able to hear us. So we have a tiny fan going, which you probably still hear. If it's too hot, we might call it after 1 game if we're starting to fall asleep. All right, so
it's worm.
Huh?
It's worm.
It is very worm. Now the deck building. There's 2 phases. With your $30. Each of these stacks of monies are stacks of 5, and I stickered them wrong. I stacked them correctly initially, and then I was watching television when I went to sticker them together, and because there's a lot of these, and the idea is, just for folks who get this game, the idea is you're supposed to make 2 stacks of 5, right? And then put them together so that they're like this. So maybe there's 10 in each of these. I might have 2.
Yeah, there are
there's
10.
Whoops. So give something back to Aaron. She'll have 3. There's 10 stacks of 10 for everything. 2 stacks of 5. That's what I meant to do.
There you go.
We're also starting with our first 30, which we're technically not supposed to do, but I figured it would save time. But essentially, you'd make your 2 stacks of 5, put 1 this way, flip the other one over, so that no matter which way you're holding it, you can see my... I didn't do that because I was watching television. I flipped them. I pre-flipped them, and then as I was stickering them, I was flipping them so they all look like lame. So don't do that. Don't be dumb. If any of you wonder why we get rules wrong a lot, it's because things like this, I'm stupid. Right there, proof. On film. Physically stickered together forever. So, so you start with 30 money in the deck building phase, and we're going to do that every turn. We've got our first 30 just because I figured in setup it would be quicker.
Yeah.
So in the game, really, all there ever is a deck building phase and a tournament phase, and you do it like 3 times. So you're essentially having 6 turns, quote unquote. The turns can be a bit lengthy. Not a bad lengthy, but I mean, it's not like you have to rush to get stuff done. What's going to happen is, can you put those kind of in the background? Where are those going to fall on the floor? Those are just the extra cards. What you're going to do in the deck building phase is you're going to have 3 kind of timed phases of the deck building phase. You're going to have a 7-minute timer where we're going to be doing stuff. Then after that's done, we introduce more cards and another meta. And I'll explain all this in a second, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a quick summary because the way the rules explains it, it almost seems like you only have 7 minutes at all, which means you have 1 minute to deal with the aftermarket. But that's not how it works. The way it works is you have a 7-minute time scenario. So I've got a little timer here. We're going to buy and sell and do all kinds of stuff. Then we're going to reveal some more cards. We're going to change the meta so we can decide. We're going to have more information about what the tournament's going to be like. And then we're going to have another 7-minute buy and sell where we deal with both the store and the aftermarket. Once that is done, we will have a final 6-minute selling period where you may not sell to the aftermarket, but you can buy from it. So if you want to put cards in there to make some money from them, you're going to need to do it in one of the first 2 phases of the deck building phase. If you're undecided as far as what you want to buy from the aftermarket, you will have an opportunity to buy in all 3. A couple other game rules that they have is if somebody's really struggling at the end, like the timer goes off and they're like really struggling between like maybe 2 cards or something, we have the option to allow them 3 extra minutes to just decide. And people can vote on it if they want to. If they haven't bought anything, they just really have no idea what they're doing, then they suggest not to do that. Just, and you can vote. It's our first game, so some of us might get stuck on some of these cards. We don't know what anyone do. We haven't played before. So just be aware of that. You can choose to do that. And then the other thing that we want to talk about is mulligans. In this game, mulligans are not allowed, no matter what. And they talk kind of pro and con for mulligans, and in a deeper strategy game, they mentioned that mulligans, if you forgot to do something or mess something up like I did in Scythe, I forgot my power. Every time I used an encounter, I forgot my power. I only mulliganed once and forgot the other 2 times. When I was editing the film, I was like, whoops. But in this game, it's supposed to simulate, putting together your decks and really thinking about how your cards work, but you're only dealing with 8 cards for your deck. So because of that, they don't want you to have a mulligan. They want to have that simulated feel to it, and the game has much more thematic feel if you don't allow mulligans. They do say, that being said, if you want to, you can, but because
you can't always control what's happening in the game.
Exactly, but they do strongly recommend not to do it because they feel it takes away from the game.
Okay.
And I can understand it based on how this game works. I probably should move this stuff so I can show folks what each of these segments are. Now, as I explain kind of these rules, all the info that you need is going to be on your player board down here. So it shows you your card anatomy, your elements, your types, what the rarities look like, so you can kind of keep track of that in the aftermarket, and then what you can do during the phase. The tournament side is very similar. It doesn't have as much because you don't need as much, but you've got a score tracker, you've got your tableau and your deck box and your accessory area, and then this reminds you of your rarities, symbols, and elements.
Yep.
And that's for fighting purposes, so just be aware of that. Did I just mess up everything? Nope, you can still see it. Okay, good. So during the deck building phase, what you're going to do is, if we're going to be on the tournament side, we're going to flip our binders. We're going to flip our boards back over to the deck building side, and then Aaron's going to give us 30 money. And the first thing that we're going to do is we'll probably have Aaron do it just because he's closest to the store, but he's going to deal each of us 6 cards from the top of the store without looking at them. We don't get to see what they are, but we don't have to pay for them either. Those are free. We just get them. And then we're going to take the top 9 cards. This will all be empty.
Yep.
Because it gets emptied for the tournament. You can take the top 9 cards and put them out.
Face down.
Face down. Yep, they go face down in the store. And so essentially you're going to have 10 cards showing. So what that means is you're going to have your 9 in the store area, and the 10th card will be at the top of the store deck. And then, so you can choose to buy any of them. You can even buy the 10th card at the top of the store deck if you wish to. We're going to discard any revealed metagame cards. That's what these two are. I figure we'll just flip them over and put them at the bottom of the deck. And then you're going to reveal the first elemental metagame. So the elemental one is over there on Ian's side.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to flip that up, put it face up, and...
like here or just here? Or...
No, it's just going to get put on top of its deck.
Oh, okay.
Because we need to know what the tournament metagames are going to be, because that will make us decide what we want for cards. Like it might say, for example, that animal type cards are weaker or stronger, or you never know.
Mm-hmm.
So we have type. There's stuff that's going to be influencing the type, and stuff that will be influencing elements. Then the first part of the deck building phase, we will only know the element that's going to be affecting the tournament. We'll flip that top one over. If one's flipped up already, put it at the bottom of the deck and flip the next one over. Does that make sense? And then we're going to set the timer for 7 minutes, and we're going to begin. Now, in this 7 minutes, there's a bunch of things that you can do. You can build your deck, which is your deck area right here. Binder are the extra cards that you're not going to be using for the particular tournament or for your deck right now. You can just keep them off to the side here. And then you've got your collection area. Now, I want to talk about real quick what the card anatomy is. I think I want to talk about that first. Yes, I do. Obviously, you have your card name. So this says Shining Omega. Nobody can read that who's watching, but you have your card name. You have your star rating, which is up here. This is a little star. And what that means is it's usually, most cards will have a range of 1 to 8, but it can go up to 10. And what that is that's used for part of the collection rules, and it's also used in dueling. And then underneath that, you've got your set. It's really hard to see this, but like if I take this one right here, this is the Obari is Hell Strike Oppose deck, and it has that same logo right here. And it just helps you, like, once you're face up, you can tell like which cards are synergistic with others.
Yep.
Because they're all from the same sets. They all work together, but you know, if you want more of that same set, you'll be able to see it. Very tiny, hard to read words. What?
Oh, just the deck. Rubber Ducky made Crusade.
I've got the core set, I've got Obari as Hell, and then Rubber Ducky made Crusaders.
Yeah.
It's Sailor Moon, basically.
I have Clockwork Empire, Obari as Hell, Strike Oppose, and Symphony of Destruction.
Ooh.
So.
Symphony of Destruction.
I have Clockwork Empire,
I just love the
Rubber
really
Ducky.
evil-looking vampire character.
Right?
Like,
they're all anime looking. And then my actual core deck is Saints of Whiteholm. But anyway.
Yeah.
So you've got your what the set is, and then right underneath that is the element. Obviously they're right here. We've got fire, air, light, water, earth, and dark, for those of you who can't read that. But that's what that symbol is, and right below it is your card type. And the types available are animal, myth, construct, citizen, soldier, and mage. Underneath that is the rarity. So what set does it come from? And the sets that we have are core, expansion, premium, and they get more rare as you go. So core, expansion, premium, master is even rarer, bronze promo, silver promo, and gold promo. And then you have your effect text, which is what your card can do at certain points during the game. And then, of course, you've got flavor text. Now, there's also 3 different overall types of cards. There are singles, deck boxes, and accessories. Singles are the primary cards that you'll be using. I think you've got... A single just looks like this. It doesn't say anything special down here. It's just a card. But if you have an accessory, it will say accessory on it. And then if you have a deck box, it will say deck box on it. We should all have at least one accessory and one deck box in our base, our starter decks.
I do.
And you can buy better ones, but everybody should start with one. The reason why that's important is you can have, in the tournament, you can have 1 deck box and up to 2 accessories. Not required to have any of them, but you can have 1 deck box and up to 2 accessories in play. So if you have multiple deck boxes, you want to pick which ones you're going to bring to the tournament with you, because you can only use one of them. And once you're in the tournament, that's the other thing. If you're in the tournament and you bring too many cards by accident, you have to discard at random. So try not to do that. And we'll talk about how many cards you bring and what that means and stuff. But essentially, deck boxes represent kind of the engine of your deck. And they help unify the theme, so they tend to help other types of cards work together. And then your accessories are usually used to enhance your deck or protect your deck from other players. And we'll talk more about that when we talk about tournaments, because that's when they're really the only time they're used unless you're putting them in a collection. So you can build your deck, make your collection, you can help friends, or you can amass wealth. So if you want to make a collection, we'll talk about that first. That's what the collection area right here is. And if you notice, it goes up to 8, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it goes up to 8. If you can get a collection of 8 cards, you'll get 21 victory points. This is one of the big ways to make victory points is to collect cards. These are cards that you won't be using in tournaments because once you complete a collection, it gets discarded from the game. There are times where it will say on your card or in the rules to put them in the box. We'll just put them off to the side somewhere. That means they're being removed from the game. If it says to discard them, though, if it says discard like to the store, then just put it like up near the money up there, because that can actually come back in the game. But if it says put in box, then we don't get to bring them back in the game. And that's what collections do. So the collection has to have at least 2 cards in it, or you don't get anything. And it can go up to 8 cards. They have to have at least 1 matching symbol as all the others. So you're either going to match all of an element or all of a type. So if I have all darkness, it doesn't matter what their types are. They can all be different types. One of them has to be unified, though. And then the other thing that is a prerequisite is they have to have a different star rating. So I can't have 2 2-star ratings, even though they have the same type or the same element. Make sense? So you're going to build a collection if you want to. You can only build 1 collection per phase. So we're going to be able to build up to 3 collections a game. And by phase, I mean the whole total deck building phase, not just the timed part. And you can build a collection by buying from the store, too, if you want. You don't have to use cards that you were normally playing with. But it's a great way to earn points. Now, your deck area can contain up to 8 singles. That's for the tournament. 1 deck box and 2 accessories. So if you're building your deck, think about that. And then whatever you don't want to have in your deck, we'll go over here. And our first tournament phase, what we'll do is, once the timer's done, we'll just have everybody double check the cards before we flip over. Let's make sure nobody has to discard anything at random. Also, you can only have 1 copy of any type of card in a deck. So if you have 2 of the same type of card, you might want to consider building a collection with the other one. Or you might lose it, or you could trade it. But you can't have more than 1 copy of a card. Now, there's a couple different ways you can buy cards for your collection. You can buy a pack from the store. So when you buy, you're buying closed blister packs. You don't get to see what they look like. You just buy them. And you pay the amount that they cost is in the upper right. So that one right there, because it's a core set, costs 3. It's going to be hard to do change in this because we only have 4 loose dollars. Maybe I built too many things. We'll figure it out. We'll write it down or put it. Yeah. Or you can buy multiple cards or something, I guess. But yeah. You pay that amount. You take the card, and it just goes into your binder. And then once a card has been bought from the store area, you immediately replenish it with another one. So there's always going to be 10 cards available to every player. If the store runs the cards, we just shuffle whatever's in the discard pile back in, so that's pretty easy. And then you can also convert unwanted junk cards into fusion. That's what these are. So we've got bronze, silver, and gold. What you do for fusion is you take the appropriate number of cards from your binder, and you place them in the box or get them out of the game. Basically, they don't go to the discard pile; they go away forever. If you want a bronze promo, you need to throw away 5 cards from your binder. And it shows it right here. 7 for silver, 9 for gold. But the cards are really powerful, dude. I mean, this is a freaking dragon.
All right.
So yeah, so it's expensive, but it's worth it. Then you take the card from the appropriate pile, and that goes now. Oh, and that's the other thing. When you do that, you place one of your cell markers on that pile because you can only do it so many times. If you notice, we only have 3. So there are some actions that we're limited to do in the deal phase. I'm not going to be able to do everything I want to do if I start doing that. So I can't do a card fusion if I'm out of cell markers.
Now, do these cell markers come back to you at the end of each phase? Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So technically, once we clear the store,
not 3 per total game.
Right. It's not per total game. It's just per phase. But there's a number of times where you're going to be using cell markers in the deck building phase, so you can run out of them pretty quick. But yeah. Let me see. Let me do this right. There we go. So yeah. So you're going to place it. So for this one, if I buy from here, I'm going to place here. I can't do gold again. I've already done it. I can do these two.
Mm-hmm.
And also I'm limited because I only have 2 other things, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And when you buy from the store, though, you're not having to use a cell marker. Only when you do card fusion in the store do you have to use a cell marker. The other thing that you can do is you can buy from the aftermarket, or you can sell to the aftermarket. And again, you can only sell to the aftermarket in those first 2 periods of 7 minutes.
Yep.
That third period of the deck building phase, we will not be doing that. But what you do is you take any card from your binder and one of your cell markers, and you put it in the slot. So, and this you can get these back actually quicker. So it is possible to do more than 3 in a turn. Because if I put a card out that Sue really wants, when she buys it, she gives me my cell marker back. So that's one way of getting your cell markers back a little bit earlier. But anyway, you put the card in the thing face up so people get to see it. The money you make is actually the star value, not the cost value on this side.
Yep.
So if I want to sell this card, I'm going to make 1 money. I'll give you the 2 we have. Maybe we can break up some of them. If we have to, we'll break some up.
I could probably break up some if you want.
Yeah, I don't mind. You can just take the sticker off. Because it gives you enough to sticker everything, but I'm not sure if I should have.
I can actually probably salvage the sticker.
I don't know if I need it, though, because if we're going to have some loose dollars.
True.
I think we only need $1
So one of the
loose.
tricks is you can just slide them out from the middle and slide them back in when you're done, too.
True.
Yeah.
But we'll have a couple
I
loose
just-
ones. I probably should have left some loose ones.
I'm just going to break 2 of them so that we have 20.
Yeah, that
22
works.
loose.
Yeah,
If I need to break more than that, then I'll break more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they just gave you the extra stickers in case you needed them, and I didn't think of that. I just stickered the heck out of that thing. And still did it wrong. So, you know, that's... I'll do it. No big deal. We can... It's a tournament earthquake, so this tournament's on Los Angeles.
Mm-mm.
Okay, there we go.
It's a turnerquake.
Tournaquake! Okay. So when you sell the aftermarket, what you do is you make the money from the bank immediately. And then if somebody wants to buy it, so essentially, let's say I wanted to sell this, I'll throw it in the aftermarket. That'll be on it. I get the $1 from the bank. And then if I want to, if somebody wants to buy it, they pay that same amount to the bank. And then they take the card and they give the cell marker back.
Right, because technically you're not selling the card directly to the person, you're selling it to a store, and the store is selling it to the person.
Exactly. We're going to Zinnies.
Yeah.
We're selling him some cards, and then Dan's making some money off of those cards, maybe.
The way it seems, no, he's just breaking even.
Yeah, most of the time he's just breaking even, which is very realistic, actually. So remember, the aftermarket stops accepting cards in the final 6-minute round. So you want, if you want to sell cards, you want to make sure you're doing it in those first 2 rounds. And then you can also trade with your friends or with other players. They don't have to be your friends, but you don't have to use the
I'm no one's
aftermarket for
friend.
that.
Okay.
Now the trades must be equal value trades. So what we're trading has to be either equal value with the star icon or money wise. So if I want to trade something for 6 for something from Aaron's that is going to cost like 9, even if he's like, I'm cool with it, I just want that card, I have to give him $3. It has to be 100% equal. If it can't be equal, I cannot do the trade.
With 3 stars, make it even?
Yes.
With the friendship
so I
card?
could trade a couple of cards. I could do friendship to do that. That's what these are for.
Okay.
I can use multiple cards too.
So,
I
each
could
of
be
the
like,
so each star on the friendship is considered $1.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
And
In terms of
Trade
equal
value.
trade, yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Or, you know, let's say it was 8, and I could be like, well, you can have one of my deck boxes. Even if you don't need it, you can be like, I'll take it. I'll just use it for a collection or something.
Yeah.
You know, however you want to do that. Also, one thing to keep in mind, there are some cards that don't have types or don't have elements. So if you're
Yeah.
building like an element, you can't add those. Like a deck box can go into an earth element collection,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be able to be used in anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you just have to make sure everything is 100% equal. Oh no, we can't use the cards. I'm sorry. It has to be the total of star ratings and Millennium dollars have to be the same.
Okay.
If you're making a trade that clearly benefits one side over the other, which is more like the power of the cards, then the friendship cards come into play. So,
So the total must be always equal through rarity in money, but if you want to try to make the effects, if your effects are better than the others, so the person could offer friendship
yeah,
stars.
or the other person can ask for it and be like,
Yeah.
that's way too beneficial for you, so I'm going to want a friendship out of that.
Yeah.
And then I can say, I'll give you a 3.
Mm-hmm.
If I say I'll give you a 1, you might say no. I'll give you a 2, you know?
Yeah.
Until you only have so many that you can deal with, but these are victory points if you manage
Yeah.
to keep them throughout the whole game. So, but that's a great balancer because there are some instances where you might be like, yeah, I'll take that card because I'm building a collection with it, but in tournament, it's going to give you a huge advantage, so I'm going to want you to give me a friendship card. You can do it that way.
Yep.
And I believe you can only do up to 6 victory from a single player's friendship cards. Let me see. Yes. So if I did that with you and then I gave you another 4 more, one of them isn't going to count.
Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
As far
And
as
in addition, I'm assuming that includes your own. So you really
no, you cannot score with your own. Your own, you can't score with your
I thought
own.
you said keeping these.
Keeping your friends. So if I got one of yours and I managed to keep it for the whole game, I get the points from it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I meant keeping friendship from other people, not necessarily yours, because you can't score with your own because it's friendship.
But I am my own best
Yeah,
friend.
If you're
I don't
stuck
know.
on
This
yourself,
says,
you
dude,
don't
you're
get
the
to win.
best. I could see that in the narcissism. There's a backstage pass to my band's next show.
Mine just says, I suppose
Best
I owe you
friends gotta
one.
stick together, right?
I suppose I owe you one.
Mine says this does not compute.
How would you like to run the new store I just opened?
My emotion chip was not designed to handle this.
And then, okay, so once the the first 7-minute timer runs out,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to do a little bit more work here. You're
Yep.
going to deal 6 more cards to every player.
Yep.
So we're going to have quite a bit in our binder.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're not going to get more money,
Yep.
but we'll get 6 more cards. And then we're going to reveal the type meta. That's this one. So now we're going to know the other half of what's
So
going
we'll
to
know
happen.
the element and the type at that point.
Yes. Yeah. So for the second round, we're going to have that available to us. And we start another 7-minute timer.
Mhm.
After that expires, the aftermarket will no longer accept sales. It will only make sales. I mean, it won't accept cards to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, it will only sell cards that are there. And we're going to set a 6-minute timer. And that allows us to just finish up what we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the final 6-minute timer, we do not get, I don't think we get any other cards. We do not.
Okay.
So each round we're going to get 12 cards for free.
Yep.
And then the 6-minute timer just lets us fix our stuff, finish our collections, do any haggling we need to do between players, and buy anything that we want out of the aftermarket. And then once that's done, again, if somebody's scrambling, we can offer an extra 3 minutes if we want to.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we move on. So what we're going to do after the deck building phase is done is we're going to clean everything up and get ready for the tournament.
I'm assuming everything that's not bought here goes to the discard pile?
Well, the first thing that happens is we can do it in any order, but we'll start, I guess since I was first player for this, we'll start with me and just go around.
Okay.
Those of you who were watching before we started, we rolled off to see who was going to go first instead of choosing who was the last person to open a blister pack ever. It was probably
Ian or
Aaron,
me.
but it's just easier to do it this way. So we'll start with me. What you can do is turn in any collections that you've made for victory points. Or the maximum of 1 collection, I'm sorry. Maximum of 1 collection for victory points. The points you get are right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then all loose cards that are not part of a player's deck are moved to their owner's binder. So you're going to have cards everywhere at first as you're trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Once you're done, put your deck here. Everything else goes here. Same thing. So if you have a collection that you didn't complete, you're going to put it over here unless you want to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then all cards from the store and the aftermarket go to the discard pile. So you're going to get your sell tokens back.
Yeah.
Everything else goes to the discard pile. Everything literally wipes clean. And then we move into the tournament phase. So does everything as far as deck building make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then...
I'm just doing this so
Okay.
that I can just...
That's fine. And then with the tournament phase, we flip over our boards and things change a little bit. You flip over your board. You guys don't have to if you don't want to, but I just want to make sure folks know what we're doing. And you take one of your counters. This is how you track your points. And you're going to put it on 0. That's how you start some of your points. I mean, we're going to get points for a lot of things, but we're trying to get some of the ranking points from the tournament because we want to be top rank. Because if you're top rank, you get bonus points, victory points for the game. So what we're going to do is, in clockwise order, we're going to each take a single turn. And when nobody can take any more turns, everybody's passed, essentially the tournament ends. So to set up the phase, we flip the thing over. Your binder cards need to go off to the side. If you notice, there's no room for your binder.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of put them out of the way. Your ranking point is set to 0. And then you take out, if you have accessories in a deck box, you put those face up. It's not part of the play, it's always in play. So that will get put out first. Everybody can do that. And then the singles that you're using in the game, you can have up to 8, those stay in your hand. And then, again, we're just going to start out with who rolled off for the turn in this. It's going to be me. for this first round. The second and third tournaments are going to be different. Whichever player placed the highest in the previous tournament gets to go first in the next tournament because they're defending champion.
Yep.
And so the first time it's going to be me. It's likely not going to be me. The second time, I'm not good at collectible card games, and I'm pretty sure I'm not good at simulated collectible card games either. So there's two things there's one thing you have to do and one thing that you may do each turn. You may take one action. You must play one single. If you want to take an action but you don't have any singles left to play, you may not take an action. You have to pass. You're done.
Yeah.
So in order to simulate an action, you need to have singles to still play. Play starts from the left and you continue to play them on going to the right. Score starts from the right and goes to the left. Play goes from the left and goes to the right. So if you want to use an action, they're usually on your accessories, but like your cards can have them that are in play. And they're always denoted by the word action keyword. So you perform the text on the card and then you flip the card face down. You can only use one action per turn, either before or after playing a single. So that's how you keep track of which ones you've used. And then you play a single. And that goes face up on the leftmost open slot. So it will continue to fill up. Most cards are going to give you ranking points, so that's going to go up as you play. Or they can disrupt your opponents as they try to score. And then at the end of the tournament, your placement within that tournament is determined by how high you are on the tracks. Now, the rightmost face-up card on a player's play area is called the top card. It's essentially like the top of your deck, or the top of your discard, I guess, is kind of what it is. So as we play, if I have these out, they're face down because I'm lazy, this one is my top card.
Okay.
None of these are. If it's just one card in play, that's my top card. So that's your top card. This card is used for clashes, which is explained a little bit later, and also activates its top effect. So some cards might have... Oh, this one doesn't. These are earlier cards, but some of them may have an effect that says top effect, and that means if that's the top card that's in play, you can use that action. If it doesn't have that distinguishment, you don't have to deal with it. But that's just how you know when you can use that too. If there are face down cards to the right edge of your tableau, so if it looks like this, I got a face up card, that wouldn't be there because it's a deck, but deck box, but if that was here and this was here, this is technically my top card because it's the active card. Does that make sense? So whatever's closest to the right edge, that's face up, is your top card in that instance. So you want to keep track of that because sometimes if you're doing a tournament battle with somebody and your top cards are like really low and you really want to use this action and you flip it over, you now become less powerful. Just think of it that way, I guess. And then, of course, deck box and accessories, this is your tableau. This is where all your singles go. And then we'll talk about real quick the effects on the cards. There's a whole bunch of different effects and they all have like keywords so you know when they come into effect. First one's play, which is really easy. As soon as you play the card, that's when that effect goes off. They're activated right away. Cards with play effects are considered quote-unquote in play for purposes of effects when their effect is resolving. So you could affect your own cards with some things. Then there's some that say next, and what those do, those trigger on the next card you play, no matter whose turn it is or what slot in your tableau you play it into, as long as you meet the text requirements. When the next card comes into play, that triggers. There are some that are flip effects. Those happen when you flip the card face down. So if you use the action on that card and it has a flip effect, when you flip it over, you also have to deal with the flip effect. It could be good, it could be bad. You don't know for sure. There's ongoing, which happens as long as the card is continuously face up. The effect is forever. It's possible to flip over other people's cards, and ongoing cards are great targets for that. And then there are some that say top, and that's if it's the top card in your tableau, then that goes off. And the neat thing is if other cards get flipped over and it becomes the top card again, you get it again.
Nice.
And then there are some that say score, and those are activated during the end of the tournament, and usually let you score additional ranking points. You activate all of the score effects, all face-up cards in your tableau going left to right, and then your deck boxes, and then accessories, and then metagames. So all these going this way, then this, and then whatever those might be, because you might get score bonuses from there. Hopefully that makes sense. If you forget, no big deal. We've got a rule book for that. And then there's reaction, which are activated whenever the relevant condition is met. Simple, it's just like Smash Up. And then there's optional. Besides reaction, there's other effects that are not optional and must be used at the correct time. So it's top, ongoing play, next score. Those are the order. So top, ongoing, play, next, and score is the order in which things will happen if things are supposed to go off simultaneously. And then the player's turn it is gets the first opportunity to flip a reaction effects. Or they can just pass, and then if somebody else has one going clockwise, they can do it. It's again like Smash Up with specials. Now there's a few effects that show up frequently on cards, and if it says discard a card, that's discarded to your binder. Unless another location is specified, it specifically says like discard to the store or something. They're unavailable for the rest of the tournament, regardless of where they get discarded to. It might say reveal a card from your hand, and what that means is you just show it to all players. It might say reveal a face down card, and you just pick up that card and show it to all players and place it face down again. If it says flip a card, flipped cards turn face down. Well, the card's face down, it has no attributes, star rating, rarity, element type, it has nothing. And it's considered a blank card for all purposes. So, other effects. You can't destroy a flip down card, for example, because it doesn't have any text. Flip card does not allow you to flip cards face up. It only lets you flip them face down. So if you have a flip down card, you can't just choose to suddenly get its abilities. And in general, effects cannot target face down cards unless they specifically say they target face down cards. Same thing with accessories and deck boxes. Effects typically don't target them unless they specifically say they do. If it says cannot be flipped, if you have cards that say that, you cannot choose one of those cards when an opponent forces you to flip one of your cards. So if it's the only card you have in play, they can't use their card against you. They can still play it, but nothing will happen. You can still flip them if you're using their actions, though. If they have an action on them, it just means it's a protection. So that's when
they can't be forcibly flipped.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's clashing, where you're fighting with somebody else. There are cards that will instruct you to clash with an opponent or with all of the players. If you're clashing with another player, you choose a player with a top card. So they have to have a top card. If they haven't played yet, you can't do anything. And in a multiplayer clash, each player who has a top card is able to participate in the fight. So each player in the clash reveals the top card of the store, starting with whoever initiated the clash and moving clockwise. They add the star rating of that card and the star rating of your top card. If one player has a higher total than another player, that player is the winner, and all the other players are the losers. If there's a tie for the highest total, then the clash literally is a tie. There's no tiebreaker. Put all the cards revealed this way into the aftermarket. So all of those store cards go into the aftermarket for later.
Oh, cool.
So it's basically what it's simulating is when you start a tournament and you get those random blister cards that you normally you can add to your deck. It's kind of what they're simulating.
Booster draft, essentially.
Booster draft. That's sorry, I could not remember the word.
Except for you're not getting to keep those; they're going into.
They're going in the aftermarket afterwards.
Well, because those are the ones that get left over to go into the prize pool.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what it is. So that goes into the aftermarket. If there's no space left, discard all the cards in the aftermarket to the store discard before adding new cards. Ouch. Now, in a tie, neither player wins nor loses. But if a clash does not have at least two participants do not having top cards, and the clash does not occur, it doesn't happen. So, like, in the tie, really nothing happens. It's kind of the same as if you try to initiate one and you can't. Now, there are also some set-specific keywords that we need to know about.
What happens if you win?
There should be a prerequisite on the card that tells you how many RP you get. You're going to get RP.
Okay.
Is what you're going to get, but I don't know.
So the card itself will explain it.
Yes. Yep. Okay. And it might have a tie, but I don't think it says it, because it doesn't say in here that anything happens with a tie. Yeah. When you see a keyword from a set, the effects are always the same. And on most cards, you'll see like the effect written out for it. But mimicry, a card with mimicry has the element and type symbols of a face-up card to its immediately left instead of its own, unless it's the only one there. This effect ends if the card to its left is flipped. This effect continues to work during scoring. So you can use it for clashes, you can use it for everything. And scoring if it's not flipped over.
Yep.
Does it, but only if it's part of the tournament, not...
Right, so if I
like
have...
you couldn't use it in a collection, for example.
Right, it's only during tournament. So if it have mimicry on this, at least as far as we know right now, and this is this is like for, I don't know, for its type, I'll just say element for this, because this one's a tree. Let's say this is a tree. This one becomes a tree. So now I have 2 trees. So if in the elemental meta, it says score 2 RP for every card, then you could count it as long as this is face up.
Yeah.
if it's face down, though, I wouldn't be able to count it because that wouldn't be that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then there's Blast Off, which is an action. You can flip this card to put 3+1, that's what those counters are, which we'll say for tournaments, star tokens on the next card you play. So if you're getting ready to do a clash,
all right.
Blast Off is really nice. Yeah, +1 stars increase the stars rating by 1 each. Blast Off also has a plus variation that adds even more to the tokens, so yummy. Then there's Scurry, which happens when you play the card. You can insert this card anywhere into your tableau. When you do this, you will shift some of your cards to the right to make room. There's also an Anvil drop action. Flip a card in another player's tableau with a lower star than this card. Then there's also Thwomp.
Alright.
If this card, it's a play card. If the card to the left has a lower star value than this one, flip it to gain RP. And then it says aftermarket. Remember, the aftermarket works differently. During the deck building, there is no limit to the number of cards that can be in it. Like, we can just squeeze them around anywhere in there. But during tournament, there's always only 12. And anytime we have something, because I guess there's other ways to put stuff in the aftermarket with your card effects. Anytime you go over 12, you discard everything.
Okay.
So it's not just when we're doing
clashes.
the clashes. And then the tournament ends when all players are unable to take further actions or play further singles.
Yep.
Each player should activate all score effects of face-up cards starting with singles in your tableau, then the deck box, then accessories, then the metagame cards. Everybody activates the metagame scores for themselves. Award VP for each player based on the tournament VP chart. So we're going to have, once we find out who, this is going to determine who is first, second, and third, fourth. And then we're going to know, it doesn't say it here, but we've got a chart.
Yep.
So if you're first place in the first tournament, you get 21 points. If you're first place in the second tournament, you get 28 points. If you're first place in the third tournament, you get 42 points. So we'll be doing points based on our RP, or ranking points. If 2 or more players tie, add up and divide between them the victory points for all places you will win. So it's kind of like Smash Up when you're breaking bases. So you'll add up first and second place, or second and third place, and then divide them, and you get that. Divide between them the VP for all places they would win. So in a 3-way tie, add up and divide evenly the points for first, second, and third. Yikes. And then reveal a complete set of promo cards based on the prize support column of the tournament. So, in round 1, it's going to be bronze, which are these. In round 2,
we have 2 sets of bronze.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Right here. Sorry. It's going to be these. These are the prizes. And then in round 2, we're going to get silver. And then round 3, we're not going to get anything because it's the end of the game. Okay. Sorry. Derp.
All right, so
that
explains what those explains what that's there for now, because I was about to ask.
I brain cramp. Sorry. Yep. These are for deck building when you're building your sets or converting your cards. Yep. And these are for prize support. So what you're going to do is you're going to reveal the whole set. So we'd flip these over and reveal all the cards, and then players get one randomly. Interesting. If this is the first, second round, place all cards in their owner's binders, and then flip over the thing in the deck building phase again. Return all cell markers to them, and if it's round 3, we go to the final scoring. Alright, so when the game ends, after the 3rd tournament, we're going to total up all of our VP and see who the ultimate Millennium Blades champion is. We're going to tally up the tournament VPs. We're going to keep track of these as we go. Collection VPs for each round, remaining money at the remaining of For each $4, you get 1 VP, rounding down.
Mm-hmm.
And then friendship card VPs collected from the players, up to 6 from each player. And then the player who has the most VP wins. In the case of a tie, the winner is whoever had the most VP from the tournaments.
Okay.
If the game is still a tie, then whoever had the most VP from collections, followed by money, then friendship. And then it talks about infinite loops, which I guess we'll look at if we have to worry about that. And then we do have the venues. We don't have to do the venues if we don't want to, but the venues add aspects to the tournament. So we can do it to see if it's fun.
Well, we'll see.
Some of them are challenges, some of them are benefits.
Yep.
Like it might say, discard a card at random.
Yeah.
It might say, you can't use deck boxes for this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that. And then real quick, so that's the rules.